segment BC, and what's the length of BC? 4, so the length of KL would be 4.
Oh,
Okay. And then what about the length of segment LJ? What segment is it congruent to? It's congruent to CA, and what's the length of CA? 5. So that one would be equal to 5. And then what about angle L?
Oh.
Angle L. What angle is L congruent to? C. And what's the measure of angle C?
It's close enough.
It should be 83. And then what about angle J? Which one's it congruent to? Say that again. It's congruent to segment or angle A, so it would be 41. Okay, so you have to remember all the way back to chapter 1 that KL means the length of segment KL. Okay, so you can't forget about geometry notation.
I know that now.
Okay. What questions do you have on the bell ringer?
Can we turn in?
Yes. We will not be in here tomorrow, and Thursday's a short day. So if you would please make sure your name's on your bell ringer, pass it to the front row, pass it to the right. All right, so we are going to go over yesterday's worksheet, and I'm going to show you some tricks and tips on how to go about doing that. You need to make corrections. Pay attention, please. You need to make corrections on your worksheet, and if you have highlighters, colored pens, colored pencils, markers, I suggest getting them out, and I would get 3 different colors. Okay, so I'll get 3 different colors.
I think I actually my worksheet.
Okay, I'll look and see. Oh, test reflections. I need your test reflections. Even if you didn't get them signed, make sure they're filled out. Make sure you signed them. Pass them to the front row, pass them to the right. I just passed it back out. Where you want this? Or not your test reflection? Oh. It should. Did you put it in your data folder?
I don't know.
Now, if you're retaking the test, you do not need to turn in your test reflection until the day you retake the test.
There it goes.
It's just the air pulling on it.
There's a window open?
Yes.
I have another one. Further.
Worksheet,
Not
There's a window open.
test reflection. Yes, remind me after class. All right, so anyone else need to turn in their test reflection?
Yeah, no, I'm requesting. This section.
Pass them up. All right, as I'm going over the worksheet, it's very important that you pay attention and you do the same marks that I do. So that way, whenever you complete your assignment that's independent practice today, or whenever you complete your quiz, you will know what to do to make it easier on you and not seem as difficult. Hey, if only we could go back to graphing linear inequalities in algebra.
That's where I ordered.
Okay, so pretty much what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through and make the answer key while you're here, and I'm going to show you some shortcuts that I would have taken so that way you can do the same thing when it's time for you to do your assignment. All right, so anytime you have to do triangle congruence problems, you want to look to see if there are any vertical angles that you can mark congruent. Because we're allowed to mark vertical angles congruent without them being marked already. You also want to look to see if any of the triangles share a side, because if they share a side, you can mark it congruent as well. Okay, so if I'm looking on this front page, vertical angles would happen when it looks like this right here. And we do not see any that look like that, so there's no vertical angles on the front page. So I'm going to look to see if there's any that share a side. So if you look at number 1, see how these two triangles share a side? I can mark that side congruent to itself. So they use 2 marks already, so I can either use 1 or 3, but I can't use 2. So I can mark this side congruent to itself. Number 2, I can mark this side congruent to itself, but I need to use 2 marks. Number 3, I would mark that side congruent to itself, and I need to use 1 mark. Okay, so we need to be going through and doing this as well, if you did not already. Number 5, I would have to use 3 or 4 or 5. I just can't use 1 or 2. Number 6, I can use 1 because they use 2 and 3. 8, I can mark it with 2. 9 shares a side, and those are the only ones that share a side. Okay, so side, 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 and side angle side. In order to use side, 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 it has to have 3 sides marked congruent. So if you've gone through and already marked them congruent, now you're looking for a set of triangles that have all 3 sides marked. So if I'm looking, I can skip all the way down to number 5 because all of those only have 2 pairs of sides. Here's where the coloring comes in handy. This side and this side are marked congruent. These 2 sides are marked congruent. And these sides are marked congruent. Okay, so 3 sets of sides have been marked congruent. So I can say those are congruent by side, side, side. Okay, number 6. This set of sides have been marked congruent. These have been marked congruent. And these have been marked congruent. So all 3 sets of sides have been marked congruent, so I can use side, side, side. And number 7, this set of sides, this set of sides, and this set of sides have all been marked congruent, so I can use side, side, side. Okay? And none of these others have all 3 sides marked, so I couldn't do side, side, side on those. Okay? To me, that's the easiest one to use, is side, side, side. Now, the one that's a little confusing is side, angle, side. The thing with it is it has to have 2 sides marked and then their included angle. So pretty much where you pretend like this is a side, the included angle is right here in between them, no matter which way it's facing. Okay, it would be right there, like where the V's at. Okay, so here's a side, here's an angle, and here's a side, and then there's nothing else marked. Okay, now do the other triangle. I started with 1 first here, so I'm going to start with 1 first on this triangle. Here's a side. Here's an angle. Here's a side. So since both of them were side, angle, side, I can use side, angle, side. Notice the angle is where the blue and pink come together. It's right between where the blue and pink meet. That's where that angle has to be. Okay, so number 2. Side, angle, side. Okay, now let's look at that one. So that one, side, angle, side, but let's look at this one. Go in order, side, side, and then an angle. So this one's actually side, side, angle. So since this one's side, side, angle, and that one's side, angle, side, I cannot say they're congruent, so I'd put not enough information. And also, see how this angle here, see how, I should have colored it green, sorry. See how it is not between the pink and the blue? See how it's down here on the side that's not been shaded in? Okay, so if it's beside the side that's been shaded in, it's not going to be side, angle, side. Okay, number 3. side, angle, side, side, angle, side. So they're both side, angle, side, so I can use side, angle, side on number 3. Okay. Here's one that's a little bit easier to see because they're 2 different triangles. Remember to go in order. Whenever you're, saying side, angle, side, you have to say what's marked, and you can't like skip over. Like I can't go side, side, angle because I skipped a whole entire side before I said another side. Okay, so if I do this, you have to go in the order depending on which way you go. So I'm going to do 3 first. So here's a side, and then an angle, and then a side. So I'm going to do 3 first this way, side, and then a side, and then an angle. So this is actually side, side, angle, or angle, side, side, which is a bad word, so we know we can't use it. So this would be not enough information. So if it spells a bad word, you can't use it. You'll get in trouble. Number 8. Side, angle, side, side, angle, side. So that would be side, angle, side because they're both side, angle, side. Okay. Number 9. Side, angle, side, side, angle. Oh, I don't get another side till all the way over here. So this would actually be considered side, side, angle. And see how this angle's at the bottom on this line? It's not in the middle of the pink and the blue up here. So this would be side, side, angle, or angle, side, side. So you can't use it. So that would be not enough information. Okay. And number 10, I can tell that these 2 angles are congruent because they're both 90-degree angles. So this would be side, angle, side, and then make sure they have the same number of marks, 2 and 2, side, angle, side. And so I can use side, angle, side there. Okay. What questions do you have for me on the front page? All right, let's look over on the back page. This says, what additional information is needed in order to know that the triangles are congruent for the reason given? So they're telling you that there's not enough information here. You have to add and tell what information they should have put on there in order for you to use it. So first thing I would do is the same thing we did on the front page. Go through and mark any shared sides congruent and any vertical angles congruent. So I can mark these 2 angles congruent without them having to tell me they're congruent because I know they're congruent already. So they don't have to tell me that they're congruent. And then on number 13, I can go ahead and mark this side congruent without them telling me it's congruent because they share a side. Number 17, they share a side. And number 18, there's a pair of vertical angles there. So I can mark those congruent. So none of those things had to be marked. I can mark them myself. All right, so let's look at number 11. They want me to use side, angle, side. So here's what I would do. I would highlight the side they marked. Highlight the angle that's marked, which we marked it, but it's okay because they're vertical. Now I would figure out what else we need. We need this second side here, which is on the other side of the angle. So that would be this side right here, JI. So they should have had segment JI marked congruent to some other segment. Okay, so now do the same thing on the other triangle. They have this side marked and this angle marked. And so we need the other side of this angle, which is right here, which is segment IE. So in order for us to use side, angle, side, they should have told us that JI was congruent to IE, or they should have had them marked congruent. on number 13, they want us to use side angle side, and they have this side and this side marked, and they have this side and this side marked. So I have the two sides. I need the angle that's between those. So look at where the two sides come together. Okay, so right here would be where they come together, angle L, and it would need to be congruent to angle H because it's between these two sides. So they should have said that angle L was congruent to angle H, or they should have had them marked congruent in order if they wanted us to use side angle side. Okay. Number 13, they want us to use side, side, side. Well, in order to do that, you have to have all three sets of sides congruent. Well, they have this side and this side marked, and then they have this side here marked. I need a third set. So I would need this side marked congruent to this side. So I would need dx marked congruent to zy. Okay. Number 14, they want me to use side, side, side. Well, here's a pair. And here's a pair. I would need this third set. So this set, I'm going to put 4 there instead of 1 because I didn't notice there was one was already 3. So they should have said that RT was congruent to ZX, or they should have had a marked congruent, RT and ZX. 15, they want me to use side angle side. We already know these angles are congruent because they're both 90-degree angles. And they already have this set of sides marked congruent. Okay, so they have side angle. I need to figure out the other side. What's the other side of the angle? The other side of this angle would be here, and the other side of this angle would be right here. So they should have said that WU was congruent to XZ. $16, they want me to use side, side, side. Well, those are marked. Those are marked. They should have had these right here marked as well if they wanted me to use side, side, side. So I would put GE congruent to WY. Okay. 17, they want me to use side angle side. Well, they have this pair of sides marked. And they have this pair of sides marked. I need the angle in between. So in this triangle, it would be this angle here. And in this triangle, it would be this angle here. So these are the two triangles that need to be marked congruent. Now, are the two angles, sorry. Now, in order to do that, you can't say angle F because there's two different angles there. So what I would do is cover up one of the triangles. This is angle QFG. And it should be congruent to angle, cover up the bottom triangle, EFG. So you had to use all 3 letters to name those two angles because there's more than 2 angles at F, or there's more than 1 angle at F. Okay. 18 wants me to use side angle side. Here's a side. Here's a side. Here's an angle. Here's an angle. I need the other side. Well, the other side of this angle is right here, and the other side of this angle is right there. So they should have marked this segment congruent to that segment. So, oops, DS congruent to ST. Okay. All right. What questions do you have for me? Keep this out. You're also going to want your notes from yesterday. Your notes from yesterday, that would be page 31 of your notes. Those of you that had turned yours in Friday, I have your notes. I'm going to give them to you. Let's get our heads up, please. We need to be paying attention. All right. I'm going to show you what I want you to do on today's worksheet. This is an independent practice worksheet, which means it's on your own. And I'm having you do something different than what the worksheet says. So you need to listen closely so you do it correctly. It says, using either side, 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 or side angle side, determine which triangles are congruent. Now, just because they have some sides marked congruent doesn't necessarily really mean they're congruent. And also pay attention to the number of tick marks. Because if you look right here, this set of sides, it says are congruent. It says those are congruent, but this one has 3 and that one has 2. So that means these are not congruent. But also look here, look at angle U. See how they have that 90-degree angle there? That is not a 90-degree angle. So I don't even know why they did that. So this worksheet's weird. So what you need to do is circle the 2 triangles that are congruent. So that would be this one and this one, because you can do it by either side angle side or side side side. Circle these 2 triangles. Then write a congruent statement. Remember, they have to be in the same order. So let's say, for instance, you do triangle XYZ. It's congruent to triangle. Now you have to base it off of the next one. So since I did X first, I would have to do E first. And then I went from X to Y, so I did the line with 2 marks. So you're going to have to do the line with 2 marks first. So you're going to have to go from E to F. And then the next one would be G. Okay. So circle the 2 triangles that are congruent and then write a congruent statement. And it's an independent worksheet, so that means it's done on your own. You can use your notes or you can use your worksheet. Okay. What questions do you have for me? Okay. All right, so I'm going to give you the work. Actually, before I give you the worksheet, when you're finished with the worksheet and you turn the worksheet in, you need to go to Google Classroom. This is for those of you that finish. And you will see that I've posted side, 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 and side angle side IXL practice. Read instructions. It says, when finished with the worksheet, you will complete this IXL assignment. Since you are a guest, you may only do 10 problems. When the box comes up saying you have reached your limit, take a screenshot of your score. Do not close out the box without taking a screenshot. Take your screenshot before you exit out of the box or click on anything. Take a screenshot. If you do close out of the box, your score will go away and it will need to be redone, and you're only allowed to do 10 problems a day, so then you're going to have to wait till tomorrow to redo it. Do not exit out of the box without taking a screenshot.
It's actually 100 points.
Excel is free.
Do what?
It's actually 100 points.
No.
I saw this with
Remember when it used to be free in like 2nd grade?
Yeah, they have a subscription over in middle school. I've had them check into a subscription, but it's pretty expensive.
Excel is fun.